Well, joining us now on Zoom is Rotem Cooper, the son of 85-year-old Israeli hostage Amiram Cooper, who has been held in Hamas captivity since being brutally kidnapped with his wife Nurit from their home in kibbutz Nir Oz on October 7th by Hamas terrorists. Now, Rotem's mother, Nurit Cooper, was released on October 23rd in the first hostage release with another elderly hostage. Amiram was seen alive for months after being taken hostage, and Hamas even released a video of him in a propaganda campaign. But on June 3rd, the Israeli military confirmed that he had been killed while in captivity. Well, his body is still being held by Hamas, and his son Rotem has been fighting since day one to get his dad back home. And Rotem, you know, this has been a terrible journey for your family from the get-go, but knowing that your dad was alive for so long and still no deal was made to get him released must be even more painful, especially given the stall in talks that we're seeing right now.
Yes, Natasha, it's extremely painful, and it's actually instead of healing, the rage is just building up. Knowing that there is a government, and for that matter of fact, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu completely failed to protect the New York community, my mother, my father, many of my friends, on October 7th, and thereafter, hostages were alive, including my father, for many, many months, and not enough was done to bring them out alive. So this pain will never go away, and unfortunately, it's just building up, We want an explanation of what's happened, and as we learn that there were a lot of opportunities to get my father, my dad out alive. Definitely in the very beginning, when my mother was released in a unilateral action by Hamas, which, no mistakes, Hamas is a terrible terrorist organization, but the IDF is taking care of them. That's not an excuse for the Israeli Prime Minister not to do more to bring about the release of the hostages. And unfortunately, we're talking today because it's 10 months, who would believe, since October 7th.
Right.
And we have still 100 and, if I'm not wrong, 115 hostages still there. 33 of them are from my community, from Nir Oz. And it's a sad reminder that we haven't done, the Israeli government and the Prime Minister haven't done enough to bring them out.
Right. So, Yahya Sinwar, he's been tapped as Hamas's new political chief. This means he's essentially completely in control of Hamas's decision-making in negotiations for a ceasefire and hostage deal. Now, I know that Yocheved Lifshitz, who was the woman that was held and released with your mother, says that she saw Sinwar while she was in captivity. I'm interested to hear your perspective as to how you think Sinwar's new role is going to impact the negotiations right now and where they stand.
Yeah, I heard the stories from several women that were released that they met Sinwar. Frankly, Sinwar was in control all along. No deal would have been made without his approval. So I don't think much changed if we now got a more official title after Aniyah was eliminated. Also, I didn't see any drastic changes in Hamas positions. Hamas, again, terrible terrorist organization responsible for kidnapping and murdering my father, but they were clear about their terms, and there were plenty of opportunities to release my father, as I said, in the first 20 days, where Hamas were quite open to negotiation, at least for the women, the children, and for the elderly. My father is 85, and Israel, primarily the Israel Prime Minister, said it's propaganda, we're not going to even talk. Remind you, 4 women, including Yocheved Lifshitz, my mother Nurit Cooper, and Yehudit and Natalie Ra'anan, 4 women were released in those 20 days. And why did it happen? Because Hamas was quite interested, and as a proof of concept, the U.S. made sure that they show that they can release hostages.
Right.
Israel did not cooperate during this time. So that was the first opportunity. And then when we got, today 55, that was the last time hostages were released. Israel, again, was very careless. Instead of taking 7 women that were proposed by Hamas, which was against the deal of 10 a day, but still 7 women, they could have held the war for 1 more day and get them released. Instead of that, the Israel Prime Minister decided to go right back into war, and holding the war for a few hours is not a good reason to,
Right.
saving 7 women is not a reason to hold the war. So, and those are just two examples. And since then, what we've seen is really the Israeli Prime Minister is engaging in a theatrical act, portraying himself as someone trying to negotiate a deal, but in reality, he did a lot of moves that hurt any chance to release the hostages.
Right. That's actually
So
what I
we
wanted to
lost
get to
belief in,
next.
yeah.
Well, Rotem, with Iran's impending attack, much of the focus has really been taken off of the plight of the hostages. I mean, I guess what message would you want to send to the world on behalf of your family and also the Israeli public right now?
That it's been 10 months and we still have a lot of hostages over there. They mentioned 115. Many of them are still alive. For example, Arbel Yehud, she's the daughter of Yael Yehud. She's, my childhood classmates from Kibbutz Nir. Her boyfriend, Ariel Cunyo, his brother, David Cunyo, Eitan Horn. We got Ofer Calderon, the father of Sar and Erez, that were released, if you remember. We got,
Right.
we got Yarden, Bibas. We have a lot of people there. They might even looking at us right now when I'm talking to you. And just because it's been 10 months, which is inconceivable, we shouldn't forget, we must bring those people out. They are waiting on us to act, to make it clear to the Israeli leadership and primarily to the Israeli Prime Minister. So it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to continue not to release the hostages. And we need to, sign a pledge that's going on. I think there's 250,000 signatures saying yes to Netanyahu's initiative or to Netanyahu's deal. And we need to continue to press directly through the U.S. any means possible on the Israeli government. As I said, the IDF is taking care of Hamas. We need to make sure that our politicians, our leaders are doing their part, which haven't been the case.
Well, the Hostage Families Forum just released a poll essentially asking Israelis, the Israeli public, what they wanted to see happen. And we saw that a much larger portion of those surveyed supported a deal now to see some type of, hostage release negotiation made. Rotem, I just want to thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, we've been in contact now for 10 months, inconceivable, like you said. You have been pushing from day one, fighting so hard to get your dad back. There are really just no words to express how sad we are for what you have been going through with your family and the fact that you still have to be going through this right now. But the hope is that we are going to see some change in the coming days, and hopefully those who are watching can go on Instagram. You can hear about Amiram Cooper's story and see what you can do to help the family make sure that he returns home finally. Thank you again, Rotem, so much for joining us.
I would just like to add that unfortunately, myself, my family, we are a reminder that time is of the essence and the hostages are dying there every day.
Yeah.
So please go, and sign the pledge to release the hostages to make sure the Israeli government, the Prime Minister is doing their job.